Guys,
Batteries.
welcome back
Joshua Root's
to the
iPhone.
channel with an upload. Today
67%.
we're going to
Charging.
be looking at something slightly different. I'm going to actually be showing you the basics of VoiceOver on iOS. Now, keep in mind this will work on iPadOS as well. Let me know if you want me to do a different video on how we can use the keyboard on iPadOS to interact with VoiceOver, because that is possible. But for now, we're just going to use the iPhone and all the different gestures that it has to offer. Now, I say that, but we're not going to be doing like a comprehensive every gesture in VoiceOver kind of thing. We're just going to do the basics to help you get started, help you get around and actually start doing stuff on your phone with VoiceOver. All right. So the first thing I want to cover
Joshua Root's
is
iPhone.
how we can navigate around the interface of our iOS device. And the most basic part of this is how we can go from each individual item on the screen. Right? There are three ways that we can do this, or there are three different things that you need to know here. The first is you can drag your finger,
Joshua
one
Root's
finger
iPhone.
around on the screen, and you'll be able to hear whatever your finger it hovers over when you're gliding it across your screen. So to do this, you just place your finger on the screen and then kind of just drag it around.
Battery. Weather. TV. Accessible. App Store. Chrome. Setting. Bard Mobile. Dock. Phone. Accessible. TV. Remind. Camera. Photo. Clock. Batteries. AirPods Case.
All right. So that is just dragging your finger around and all that stuff, and that can work on your home screen perfectly fine. That's not a problem. But if you're in a web page, or you're in an app with many user interface controls, that might
Screen
not
dimmed.
be the most efficient way to go about it. Okay, so if you swipe right with one finger on your screen, that will go to the next VoiceOver focusable element, like so.
FaceTime. Calendar. Friday. Photos. Camera. Mail. 16.
All right. Now, if we swipe left with one finger, that goes to the previous element on the screen. And we can do this like so.
Camera. Photos. Calendar. Friday. FaceTime. Batteries. AirPods.
All right. Pretty neat. Now, that's how we can kind of navigate around our screen. That's the most basic way anyway. There are many other ways of doing it, such as navigating by headings, by links, by form controls, stuff like that, for more advanced navigation through your apps and web pages. But this right here is just getting you started on navigating through your apps and web pages. Now, the next thing I want to show you is how we can start and stop speech.
Screen dimmed.
Now, this simply pauses speech, right? It doesn't go and it doesn't stop VoiceOver from speaking, as in it doesn't disable speech altogether. That's a completely different gesture. But to pause speech, you just tap once with two fingers on the screen to get it to pause, and then you do the same gesture, single tap with two fingers, to get it to start speaking again. So for example,
AirPods case, 100%
I just single tapped with two fingers.
Charged. Swipe up or down to select a custom action,
and it
then double tap to
again.
activate.
Stop.
Edit mode.
And so that
activate.
That is how we can start and we can pause and start speaking with VoiceOver. For example, let's say someone's trying to talk to you and VoiceOver's talking. You could pause it temporarily to listen to whatever someone's saying to you, and then when they're done talking, to you and you need to finish whatever you were doing with VoiceOver, you can do the same gesture again, and it'll continue what it was saying. Pretty neat stuff. Now, let's take a look at how we can open the Notification Center and then how we can close Notification Center. Now, in iOS and iPadOS, make sure that you swipe down from the center top of your screen until you hear 3 tones. When you hear the third tone, lift your finger, and that will open Notification Center. So let's do that now.
Notification Center. 1:12 p.m.
And there's
screen record clear. Activate default.
All right. So there's Notification Center. Now how do we close it? Well, we can close Notification Center by swiping up from the bottom of our screen until we hear 2 tones. Let's do that now.
Batteries. Joshua Roots.
All right. So when you hear the second tone, lift your finger and it will close Notification Center. We are now back in our home screen. Now, what if we want to open the Control Center? Well, to open Control Center, we swipe down from the top right of our screen until we hear 2 tones. When we hear the second tone, we lift our finger, and that opens our Control Center. So let's do that now.
Control Center. Airplane mode.
Here is Control Center. Now, how do we close it? Let's say we want to toggle some setting or modify the brightness or the volume, and then we're done. Well, to close Control Center, we do the same thing that we did to close Notification Center. We swipe up from the bottom of our screen until we hear 2 tones. Like that.
Battery.
And so now we have closed Control Center. The next thing I want to show you is how we can swipe through our home screen and folder pages. To do this, we can swipe left with 3 fingers to go to the next page. We swipe right with 3 fingers to go to the previous page. Now, of course, if you want to go to the Today view or the app library, that is possible, because if you're on the main screen of your the main page of your home page, you can go to the previous page using 3 fingers and swiping right, like so.
Showing Today view. Podcast.
To go to the Today view. Now you can see all the different widgets that are in Today view, such as the podcast widget, which, if you heard, is displaying Swift Over Coffee. Great podcast, by the way. If we want to go back to our main page of our home screen, we just need to swipe to the left with 3 fingers.
Map. Home. Page 1 of 3. Batteries.
To go to our main home page. We can again swipe to the left with 3 fingers.
Page 2 of 3. Travel folder. 6 app. Page 3 of 3.
And then to our third page.
Swipe up or down to select a custom action. Showing app library.
To go to our app library. Go ahead and swipe right with 3 fingers.
Page 3 of 3. Page 2 of 3. Group. Translate. Home. Page 1 of 3.
And we can swipe back through our pages. Okay? So that is how we can swipe through the pages of our folders and our and our folders, right? Our home page pages and then our pages and our folders. Now, how do we activate an item? So this can be anything like a button or opening a folder or opening an app, right? Well, if we want to open a folder, for example, let's find a folder that we want to open.
Podcast, App Store, Accessibility folder, Chrome, Wallet, TV, Books, Accessibility folder, 5 apps.
Let's say Accessibility
Double
folder.
tap to open.
Now you said it. Now you heard it said double tap to open. So let's go ahead and double tap this.
Opening accessibility folder.
And it opens that folder. So when you double tap on the screen with a single finger, that is how you can open your folders and your apps. So that is activating an item. As you can do this as well to activate buttons, check a checkbox, toggle switches, all that kind of stuff. The kind of stuff that you would normally do a single finger tap to activate or toggle without VoiceOver on. Usually that's a double tap with a single finger in VoiceOver. All right. Now we can go ahead and
Seeing AI.
Swipe
Double
through
tap
our different apps
accessibility
here.
heading. Seeing AI.
I have
One
Seeing
step reader
AI.
in iCloud.
I have
Double
One
tap
Step
Be My
Reader.
Eyes. Double tap to
Be
NFB
My
Newsline
Eyes.
in iCloud.
I have
Double tap to
NFB
Soundscape.
Newsline,
Soundscape. Double tap to
and
open.
that's really it. Now there are two ways to close a folder. And that is by swiping up from the bottom until you hear two tones, just like we did to close out of Notification Center and Control Center, or
Accessibility heading.
you
Double
can
tap and
double
hold to
tap
start
on the
edit mode.
heading of the
Swipe up or
folder.
down to select a custom action. Then
So
double
let's
tap to
double tap the
activate.
heading of our folder here,
Closing accessibility folder.
and it closes the folder. Let's go ahead and
Doc,
open
messages.
an app here. All right, let's open an app.
Weather. Double
Let's
tap
say
to
the
open.
Weather app. Go ahead and double tap the Weather app.
Weather.
And
Waverly.
there's our Weather app. Now, I'm not in Waverly, but that's just what it's showing here. I have it there specifically for this video, and we can swipe through this
Toolbar.
interface.
Location. Show map. 10. Today. 9. 8 p.m. Part.
And all that stuff, right? Now, if we want to close the app, well, if we want to get out of the app but not close it, again, we can swipe up from the bottom of our screen until we hear two tones, like so. All right, so now we're on our home screen, but the Weather app isn't closed. So how exactly do we actually close an app? Well, to do that, we need to go into the app switcher. And to go into the app switcher, we need to swipe up from the bottom of the screen until we hear three tones. Let's go ahead and do that now.
Home. Batteries. Joshua Root's iPhone. 77%. Charging. App switcher. Weather. Active.
Okay, there we go.
Swipe up with three fingers
so now
to close
we're in the app
app.
switcher. And we can swipe
Weather.
left and right with one finger
Weather. Active.
to go in between
Swipe
the
up with
different
three
apps that we
fingers to
have
close the
open.
app. Swipe up or down to select a custom action.
Now, the Weather app is the only app that we have open. There are two different things that we can do to close an app in our app switcher. We can swipe up with three fingers to flick it away, or we can swipe up and down with one finger to cycle between the various options that we can perform on this particular item. So if we swipe
Close
up,
weather.
we get
Activate.
close weather,
Default. Close
activate,
weather.
close weather. So it just cycles between those. And if we swipe down, it does the
Activate.
same thing.
Close weather. Activate. Close weather.
However, we can just do three fingers swiping
Activate.
up
Default.
to close the Weather app. And let's do that now.
Closing weather.
There we go. Now, Weather is closed and we don't have any apps open. So, with that, let's see here. What if we want to rearrange items using drag and drop?
Accessibility folder. Page 2 of 3.
That
Travel
is
folder.
actually pretty simple. So
Page
I'm
3
going
of
to
3.
go onto my third page here where things don't particularly matter too much.
Feedback. Apple Store. Cash App. Search. Apple Store. Cash App.
Let's say
Double
I
tap
want
to
to
open.
rearrange Apple Store and Cash App. All right. what we can do is
Search. Page. Cash App.
let's say
Cash App.
let's say we want to
Double tap to open.
drag. Let's say we want to drag Cash App. Well, in order to say rearrange these apps, we need to go into edit mode. And to go into edit mode, we can swipe up with one finger until we hear edit mode.
Edit mode.
Right? So there's edit mode. Double tap when you hear edit mode.
Started editing.
And you hear it said started editing. So now we're editing our apps. If we swipe up again or swipe down again, we hear a few different options.
Activate. Default.
We can activate the app.
Drag Cash App.
We can drag it.
Delete.
We can delete it.
Stop editing apps.
Or we can stop
Activate.
editing.
Drag Cash App.
We want drag.
Finished
so
editing.
When you hear drag,
showing app library. App library. Search field. Cash App. Edit mode. Activate. Edit mode.
so
Started
edit
editing.
Mode.
Activate. Drag Cash App.
Go ahead and say drag.
Apple Store is editing. Double tap to add to drag.
Now don't worry. We're good. We're fine. Sure, it says Apple Store, whatever. But what we want to do is swipe up and down again.
Cancel drag.
You can cancel the
Create
drag.
new folder with Apple Store and Cash App. Drop ready.
You can create a new folder with the app currently focused in the VoiceOver cursor and anything that's in the drag session.
Drop Cash App after Apple Store. Drop ready.
You can drop it after the Apple Store.
Drop Cash App before Apple Store. Drop ready.
Or you can drop it before.
Add to drag session.
And you can add Apple Store to the drag session. So you can have multiple apps in the drag session at any given time.
Stop editing apps. Add to drag session.
Or you can
drop Cash App before Apple Store. Drop ready.
We're going to drop Cash App before Apple Store.
Drop complete.
And once that's done,
dock, phone, search, page 3, Cash App is editing. Apple Store is editing. Feedback, Apple, Cash App is editing.
It doesn't always
stop
work,
editing
so
apps.
let's try that again.
Delete. Drag Cash App. Apple, stop editing app. Add to drag set. Drop Cash App. Drop Cash App after Apple. Drop Cash App before Apple. Drop complete.
Okay.
Search, page, Apple Store is Cash App is
there
editing.
We go. Now
double tap and hold to perform.
There are two ways that we can now stop editing our apps.
Drag Cash App.
We can swipe
delete.
up or down.
Stop editing apps.
Until we hear stop editing.
Finished editing.
And then double tap. And there we go. Or we can swipe up from the bottom of the screen with a single finger until we hear two tones. And when you hear that second tone, you lift your finger and editing has stopped. So you can see that swiping up
screen
from
dimmed.
the bottom with a single finger can do a lot based on the context of what's happening. All right, so let's see here. We've gone through drag and drop. We've gone through deleting. We can adjust values in specific controls by swiping up or down with a single finger when those controls are focused. For example, if we go into our
notification center, screen recording,
not notification
feedback,
center.
Control center, airplane mode, switch button, off, volume, 39%, adjustable.
So
swipe up or down with one finger to
slider, or our volume control in Control Center. Swipe up to increase the volume.
49%, 59%.
And then swipe down to decrease
49%, 39%, 49, 59%.
Right. And you'll find this very often in apps and on websites that use sliders or even rating controls if they're configured that way. So just keep in mind that for anything that is announced as adjustable
screen dim
with VoiceOver, you typically
53%,
swipe up with a single finger to increase the value, or swipe down with a single finger to decrease its value. Let's see here. Okay.
9%.
So let's take a look real quick at the rotor.
Home,
So,
batteries, widget.
what is the rotor? Well, the rotor on VoiceOver
Batteries,
is
AirPods
a
case.
way. Well, the rotor isn't specific to VoiceOver. To make it clear, um, the rotor is for various assistive technologies in iOS, but VoiceOver uses it heavily. Um, this can be used to, for example, navigate a page by character, by word, by heading, by link, by form control, stuff like that. So, it also works in apps and stuff like that. There's the settings in that are currently in the rotor change based on the context that you're in. But some of the constant ones that never change are our volume, which changes the volume of your voiceover itself, not your phone, but voiceover. Um, there's speaking rate, which allows you to increase or decrease the speaking rate, how fast your voiceover talks, and a few others. So let's go ahead and activate our rotor. But to do this, we need to learn another gesture, of course. And to do the rotor, you need to either have two fingers rotating on the screen in a clockwise or counterclockwise motion, as if you're adjusting a knob or a rotor. Yeah. So on your home screen or in your whatever app you're in, go ahead and activate the rotor with either of those two gestures.
Characters.
So characters navigates by character.
Words.
Words navigates by
Speaking
word.
rate, 55%.
Speaking rate. My speaking rate is 55% at the moment.
50%.
Let's bring it down to 50 here.
Containers.
We can navigate by
Actions.
containers.
Activate.
There are various actions. Now, actions is what we can use for going into edit mode or activating our app or folder or whatever the case might be.
Characters. Words.
And again, it just rotates through all the different ones. If we're on a web page, there are many other options there, but these are some of the more common ones. And the ones that you'll find on your home screen. Now, the final thing that I want to demonstrate to you is how you can enable screen curtain. Now, what is screen curtain? Well, screen curtain is a feature of VoiceOver that allows you to turn your display off, but your phone is still fully functional. This allows you to more easily simulate how a blind person actually uses your phone. And to activate the screen curtain, you triple tap with 3 fingers, like so.
Speech off. Speech on.
Oh, actually, no, that's not how we do it. It's a quadruple tap with 3 fingers.
Screen curtain on.
Now screen curtain is turned on. My screen went completely black. There is nothing there. We can turn the display back on by doing the same thing. 4 taps with 3 fingers.
Screen curtain off.
And now screen curtain is on. I'm not sure how that's going to come across in the screen recording, but you heard VoiceOver speak screen curtain on and screen curtain off, so you know it worked. Now, as you've probably also noticed, when I thought it was 3 fingers triple tap on the screen, we muted speech and then turned the speech back on for VoiceOver. So that's how so if you needed to completely stop speaking, all right, you need VoiceOver to completely stop speaking for whatever reason. Say you're in a in a meeting or something, and you don't want your VoiceOver to go off while you're in a meeting. You can just do 3 finger triple tap.
Speech off.
And speech will be off. So VoiceOver will no longer announce anything. Right? So we're kind of dragging our finger across the screen, and you can hear that it's changing focus between different items on the screen, but it's not speaking it. And that's because we disabled speech. We can triple tap with 3 fingers again,
Speech on.
and speech is back
Clock.
on.
Web books.
And now it's speaking everything again. So those are some of the bare bones basics of VoiceOver. I hope this helps with developers wanting to test their apps with VoiceOver, and I hope this helps you as a beginner. If you need VoiceOver or you want to learn to teach someone else how to begin using VoiceOver, I hope this helped you.
Control set brightness 100.
So let's go.
Timer button. Calculator.
So with all
Flashlight
that being
selected.
said,
Focus. Volume.
thank you all so
Brightness.
very much
Screen
for
mirroring
watching,
button.
and
Selected.
we will
Screen
see you
recording
all.
button.
Oh, thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.